Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to dig into some really profound life lessons from a place you might not expect, a voice that's so familiar, we've maybe overlooked the incredible wisdom that comes with it.
So, what if I told you that the secret to resilience, to patience, to really navigating life's biggest challenges wasn't locked away in some ancient book or some complicated philosophy?
What if it's all right there, in the life and career of one of the most iconic voices of all time, Morgan Freeman? And no, we're not just talking about his acting. We're talking about the powerful wisdom baked into his entire journey.
So let's do it. Let's unlock the lessons from his absolutely legendary life. Now, this isn't just a biography. Think of it more like a roadmap for turning struggle into some serious strength.
And that story, like so many great ones, it starts with a long, long road, a really tough journey. See, to really get his wisdom, you first have to understand his struggle.
Okay, just look at this timeline. The amount of time we're talking about here is just staggering, right? Morgan Freeman was born way back in 1937 in Memphis, Tennessee, and he was up against poverty and discrimination from day one. He studied drama, he made the big move out to California, he put in the work on stage, but for decades, we're talking the 60s, the 70s, even deep into the 80s, he just wasn't getting that big break. This was no overnight success story. It was a slow, relentless grind of just showing up even when it felt like nobody was paying attention.
And this right here, this is the core of his entire mindset. For him, those years of struggle, they weren't a waste of time. He didn't see rejection as some kind of final judgment. No way. Instead, every single setback was a chance to learn something. Every role he didn't get was a lesson in his craft. And every failure was, believe it or not, a step forward. He was building his foundation brick by painful brick.
And all of that brings us to the turning point. Because after all those decades of hard work, that persistence, well, it finally paid off. It created a breakthrough moment that changed literally everything.
And then the roles started coming. And we're not talking about just any roles. I mean, think about it. Driving Miss Daisy, The Shawshank Redemption, even his narration for March of the Penguins. These performances didn't just make him famous, they defined a generation. Each one wasn't just him reading lines, it was this deep, calm, powerful storytelling that connected with millions of people.
You know, what's so fascinating is that the very things that probably got him overlooked in the beginning, his quiet nature, his patience, that calm authority, those ended up becoming his signature strengths. That measured, unshakable confidence is what makes you lean in and listen. He doesn't need to shout to get your attention, he just commands it.
Okay, so let's pivot. How does his story actually help us? Let's talk about the tools we can pull from his life to live our own a little better.
I mean, really, it all boils down to this one simple, powerful idea from the man himself. This quote, it's everything. It's the central pillar of his whole philosophy. It's so simple, but it's so incredibly true. The only way you can be absolutely certain you're going to lose is if you stop. His entire life is proof of that.
So how do we actually use this? Well, you can break it all down into 3 steps. These are the tools he used to build his success. First up, embrace resilience. This means you got to see failure as feedback, not the end of the line. Second, you cultivate curiosity. You're always learning, you're always getting better at what you do. And number 3, probably the most important one, commit to consistency. That's about showing up day in and day out, especially on the days you really don't want to. And the cool thing is, these aren't just things you're born with, right? They're skills you can actually build.
Think about his voice for a second. That slow, deliberate pace. It's not an accident that it feels so wise. There's actually a bit of science to this. When our minds are rushed and anxious, we become scattered, forgetful. But a slower, more deliberate approach, kind of like his speaking style, actually helps create a state of mind that's more focused, calm, and able to process things better. His voice literally teaches us to slow down and think.
And yep, this is totally backed by neuroscience. A great story, the kind that he has mastered. It lights up different parts of our brain. It grabs our attention, which boosts our focus. It helps us connect with the characters, which builds empathy. And it makes the lesson stick, which enhances our memory. It's just how we're wired.
All right, let's bring this all home. This last part, this is all about you. How you can take these big ideas and actually apply them to your own life, your own journey, to find your own voice. So, here it is, your personal action plan inspired by Morgan Freeman's life. First, embrace your own pace. Your journey isn't a race against anyone else's. Second, learn like crazy from every single setback. See them as gifts. Third, use your unique voice, your skills, your passions to tell your story and lift others up. And finally, just start small.
You don't have to change the world tomorrow, just don't ever stop moving forward.
Look, if you take away just one thing from all of this, let it be this right here. So many of us, we get stuck because we're waiting for the perfect time, or we're terrified of not being perfect. But his story teaches us that perfection is a total myth. What's real, what actually matters, is just showing up. It's persistence.
So I'll leave you with this question to think about. We all have a story to live and a voice to tell it with. After decades of just not quitting, Morgan Freeman found his. So, what story will your voice tell? Thanks for joining me on The Explainer.